The photograph of Chloe Marsden's face was taken at 2:47 p.m. in the waiting room of Westbrook Animal Hospital, about 30 seconds after the vet had walked out from the exam room and quietly said, "Chloe, I think you should sit down before I tell you this." The fluffy golden kitten she had rescued from a pet carrier on a street corner 6 months earlier had just had her microchip scanned for the first time. And what came up on that screen was about to connect a young woman who lived alone to a family she had never met, and an old woman who had been waiting 2 years and 4 months to see her cat again. Her name is Chloe Marsden. She is 26 years old, a pediatric nurse at the Children's Hospital in Portland, Oregon, and for the past year and a half, she has been living alone in a second-floor apartment above an old bakery in the Alberta Arts District. Chloe had moved to Portland on her own after nursing school. Her parents were back in Michigan. Her 2 sisters had husbands and babies and group texts she no longer belonged in. Chloe worked 12-hour shifts 4 days a week. She came home at night to a quiet apartment with tall windows. She told herself she was fine alone, and most days she was. It was on a Sunday morning in late April, on her walk to the coffee shop, that she first saw the carrier. It was a soft-sided pink pet carrier, the kind you see in social media photos of expensive cats, placed carefully against a brick wall of a closed antique store on Alberta Street. Taped to the top was a small piece of lined notebook paper. The handwriting on it shook as much as Chloe's hand shook, reaching for it. "Please find her a good home. I cannot keep her anymore. Her name is Biscuit." Inside the carrier, looking up at her with enormous sea-green eyes, was a small, golden, fluffy kitten, long, silky fur the color of butterscotch, maybe 5 months old. Not a stray, not a shelter cat. A kitten someone had loved and brushed every day until the day they could not anymore. Chloe unzipped the carrier. The kitten walked out slowly, pressed her small golden face into Chloe's palm, and began to purr so loudly that a woman walking her dog stopped on the opposite sidewalk to ask if everything was all right. Chloe carried her home. She kept the name the note had given her, Biscuit. It felt like a small loyalty to whoever had loved this kitten before her and had to let her go. That first night, Biscuit climbed up inside Chloe's sweater, curled beneath her chin, and slept there like she had been doing it all her life. 6 months passed. Chloe fell in love with Biscuit the way a person who has been quietly alone for a long time falls in love with the first thing that needs her. She took photos of Biscuit in the kitchen window. She posted one on Instagram, her first post in over a year. Her mother called her for the first time in 3 weeks. For the first time since moving to Portland, Chloe started eating dinner at her kitchen table instead of on the couch. "I notice you still haven't subscribed yet. That honestly stings a little. Hit that button. You really are not going to want to miss what happens at the vet." In October, Chloe took Biscuit for her first proper annual checkup at Westbrook Animal Hospital. Vaccinations, weight check, the usual. The young vet, Dr. Alan Perez, ran the microchip scanner over Biscuit's shoulder blades the way vets always do, almost casually, almost not expecting anything at all. The scanner beeped. Dr. Perez looked at the screen. He paused. He scanned her again. Then he looked up at Chloe in a way she had never been looked at before. "Chloe," he said very gently, "I think you should sit down before I tell you this." Her hand started shaking before she understood why. Biscuit had a microchip. The chip was registered to a woman named Margaret Levine. Margaret lived at an address in a small town called Selwood, 20 minutes south of Portland. She'd registered her kitten to that chip 3 years ago. Biscuit was not 5 months old. Biscuit was 3.5 years old. The breed was a registered Golden British Longhair, and Margaret Levine had filed Biscuit as missing exactly 2 years and 4 months earlier. Dr. Perez handed Chloe a phone number and a tissue box, and Chloe sat in the waiting room of Westbrook Animal Hospital and tried to remember how to breathe. That afternoon, she called the number on the registration file. A woman answered, the daughter, a woman in her mid-50s named Claire. Claire barely got through the first sentence. Claire started to cry before Chloe did. Her mother, Margaret, was 78 years old. 2 years and 4 months earlier, Margaret had begun losing pieces of herself. Names first, then dates, then the faces of her own grandchildren. The family had moved her into a memory care facility in Selwood the following spring. During the move, Biscuit had slipped out of the second-story window and disappeared. They had posted flyers, they had walked the neighborhood for weeks, and slowly they had let her go. Margaret had not stopped asking about her. Even now, even when she no longer recognized her own daughter, she still sometimes asked, very softly, "Where's Biscuit?" Stories like this are exactly why we keep telling them. Some deserve to travel far beyond the room they happened in. Chloe drove to Selwood the following Saturday, with Biscuit in a soft carrier on the passenger seat. Claire met her in the lobby of Oak Ridge Memory Care. She hugged Chloe for a very long time without saying a word. Then she walked her down a long hallway, past rooms with nameplates and small window boxes of flowers, to a door that said simply, M. Levine. Margaret was sitting in a chair by the window, white hair, pale blue eyes that had not recognized her own daughter in 4 months. She looked up at Chloe politely, the way you look at a stranger who has come to your door. Claire knelt beside her and unzipped the carrier. Biscuit walked out. She looked at the woman in the chair. Her ears moved, her tail stood straight up, and she ran in that small golden blur cats do when they have decided, and jumped directly into Margaret Levine's lap like she had never been gone at all. Margaret's eyes filled with tears before the rest of her face knew why. She placed both of her wrinkled hands on Biscuit's fur, and for the first time in 7 months, she said a name out loud that was not her own. Biscuit. Claire was sobbing in the doorway, Chloe was sobbing by the window, and Margaret Levine sat in her chair and stroked a cat she had not seen in 2 years and 4 months, and smiled. Some stories deserve to be shared. This one is one of them. Claire asked Chloe very softly on the way out if she would consider keeping Biscuit and bringing her back to visit on weekends. The family could not care for a cat with Margaret in memory care, but Chloe said something she had not planned to say. She said Biscuit belonged to Margaret, always had, and she would bring her every Saturday for as long as Margaret still wanted to see her. Sometimes the small creatures who find us on quiet Sunday mornings are not lost at all. They are looking. They are on their way from someone who could not keep them to someone who will help carry them back. Sometimes love finds its way home through people who have never met, and sometimes the most ordinary rescue, a fluffy kitten in a pink carrier on a street corner, turns out to be a thread that connects 2 lives who did not know they needed each other. If you are thinking about adopting, please don't walk past the ones left quietly on sidewalks with shaking handwritten notes. You may not know for a long time what their real story is, and one afternoon in a quiet exam room, it might change everything. Did Chloe rescue Biscuit, or was Biscuit always just finding her way home? Tell me in the comments below.